The publication has become a real mandatory for every academicians for various reasons, and it's for both the personal development and the institutional development, and there is a too much demand that has been and expectations from all the faculties, and to have more number of publications, and for our whatever the appraisal that they ask, whether it could be a API or your promotion interview, or for all kind of credentialing, publication become a real mandate. Having the sophisticated the technological advancement today, in the current world, everybody is a publisher, everybody want to become editor in chief, and they wanted to have editorial board, and they just wanted to publish material, and uh, whether they go for any really proper peer reviewing, whether the proper check and is done for the material or not, all those remains a bigger question mark. So because there is a too much pressure on the faculties, and not only on the faculties, also for PhD requirements for submission of the thesis, so and so number of publications required for submitting the thesis. So having this background, it has given the opportunities for many people to have as a business model, and just like that, they have some web page, and they create the name, fancy name, and they use unauthorized the logo from the various inducting agencies. They will claim the fancy numbers. Our impact factor is this, and source normalized impact factor is this. We are indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, and so on. But when we actually look onto the authenticity of all those information, what they have displayed in the website is absolutely of fake informations, and whatever the effort that the faculty or the research team members are making to bring out as a quality papers becomes meaningless when it is going for any kind of assessment when it is done by the university. So having this background, now everyone wants to publish. I'm sure. I mean, I'm very happy to see very pretty decent number of participants attending this workshop. Uh, Everyone, we are like maybe some of them experienced, and you might have already have a very good publications experience, and some of them maybe no way, some of them maybe thinking what to publish, where to publish, and who is the real publisher, and am I writing to the right journal, am I choosing the target journal properly, whether my publications will have recognition after it is published, will it stay inside the scopus or will move out of the scopus, what is open access, and what is the model of subscription based access, and what are all some of the challenges, common challenges faced while publishing in open access. So maybe for the next 25 to 30 minutes, I will share my experience, whatever I have learned. So, like I'm also like you all, I'm also a learner. Still, I'm not something achieved big, but however, I've done some for my career level promotion. I've done some decent number of publications that are required for me. So my presentation will be purely on the practical exposure. Now, I don't want to much, spend time on too much of theoretical content. I'll just only touch upon the practical ground, and maybe, to know the basic concepts of uh, the subject material that I'm going to deliver. So I've organized my the session in the following aspects. We'll discuss about some of the common important terms that is pertaining to open access or subscription. We other way call it as traditional based journal. And what are all the advantages of having publications in the open access platform, and what are all the real life challenges that one might face as an author, going for open access publications. Avoid predatory journals. That is very very important. That's very very important concern. Like many a times, see, even I have been victim of predatory journal. When I started my couple of publications, that I've just wasted like anything, and later on I realized that it is a predatory journal, and I've wasted uh, my money is a secondary. Okay, this kind of journals do not charge, they charge like 3 or 4 thousand rupees or 5,000 rupees. Okay, that is fine, but the absolute loss is the data that I've already published, where I don't have opportunity to publish it in a real journal, where this particular manuscript supposed to be published and would have landed. So, and some of the best practices could be adapted by the universities in line with open access publications. And few, if time permits, maybe a few practical considerations I would like to demonstrate, showing the elsewhere journal finder tool. So what is open access? By name itself, it is clearly understandable. At its most fundamental, open access is when publications are freely available all all at no cost, with limited restrictions with regard to reuse. So like I'll touch upon the importance of having an open access publication in the course of time. So the open access publication is, I submit my manuscript, it goes for the proper peer reviewing, and it is getting accepted. And once the journal has published my official version of the manuscript as an article, it is freely to available for authors and for the institutions or for the different stakeholders. So that is the real meaning of open access. So it has some important purposes, like authors get their works more visibility for the authors, whatever the work that is published by the authors, seen by more people, utilized by more people, and there is a very good number of readers, and your personal repute is getting increased, and your research work that is getting recognized, and it is also useful for the funder, especially if it is a funded project, and where a kind of marketing tactics, maybe it is could be a drug trial or any product trial, like when once the research is getting published, there is a wider visibility. Again, funding, I want to make it clear that not that every funders gives the money for us to publish the article also. So we have to depend upon the rules and regulations or the terms and conditions of the funders when they release the fund. So there are two different routes for open access. That is gold open access and green open access. So let us see the difference between what is gold open access and what is green open access. So the gold open access is the final version of the article, freely and permanently accessible for everyone immediately after the publication. And more important point that is note is the copyright of the article is retained by the authors, and most of the permission or the barriers that usually set by the publishers will be retained. I mean, they'll be removed. So like it can be, they can reproduce it, they can archive it in their university repository without any terms and conditions, and they can do any financial expansion of the activity, all those available with gold open access. And this gold open access can be published in open access journal and also in hybrid journal. So I will tell what is hybrid journal. I'll explain a little bit, but however I'll mention the hybrid journal is the journal where it gives the option of publishing the article in both open access platform and subscription platform. Some journals are purely open access, some journals are purely subscription based, some journals are hybrid nature. Nowadays if you see, most of the journals goes for the option of hybrid in nature. So where there is option of both, like on the article can be published on a gold open access platform and also by the traditional subscription based model. So here the important point to note is that the gold open access, the entire author rights remains with the author. Most of the barriers in its utilization removed by the publisher. The second route in publishing in open access is the green open access. So it is also open access, like a publication where once the publication is freely available to everyone, whomever is surfing the particular journal, or if it is can be shared in ResearchGate or LinkedIn or any other open academia. So all this platform you can serve. But however, there are some restrictions on it. Copyrights, the copyrights is still remains with the publishers, like when it is reproduced, when it is used for some any other the financial activities or something like that. So the author have to, though it is authors their own paper, they have to get a formal permission from the publishers to use it. So unlike gold open access, I've already mentioned, the copyright of these articles sits with the publisher itself. Uh, and there are restrictions in using the word, and even they impose archival restrictions. So archival restrictions means like every university will have their own repository, like whatever the articles that get published for their internal showcase, and to disseminate the information, and to have widespread of readership within the information, the university can archive it. But however, if the author have published the article in gold open access, they can go for their own university repository archiving any without any restriction. But whereas in green access, they are not allowed to do so. They are not allowed to do so until the journal is the particular manuscript is crossing its embargo period. So embargo period means it's a time period defined by the journal, that if you want to share it in your university repository, and you wanted to put it in the ResearchGate, or you wanted to share it in either academia, you have to wait for 3 years time or 2 years time. So there is no any definite number. The journal has their own defining period of time. So that is called as an embargo period. So there will be I mean, obviously there will be amount variations. The amount paid for the publication may vary between the gold open access and green open access. The gold open access comparatively higher when compared to the green open access. To know more about open access journal, there is an exclusive database which you all might be aware, DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journal. So where it gives all indexing details of only the open access journal and also the hybrid journal. It does not endorse or include the subscription based journals. They give only purely open access journal or hybrid journal access. So where you can go to this website, and you will know really based on the field that you wanted to look for the target journal for your publications, for your manuscript, and you can select it. And also you can look for articles, some of the article you wanted to search, that also you can. It is any other like bibliographic indexing database like Scopus, PubMed, what we have, the same. It is purely maintained for open access journal. Many a time, people will ask, do I have to pay money for open access publications? Because if you see, look at the numbers, uh, of high quality journals. I'm not talking about the predatory journals. Predatory journals will ask you 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees. Today morning you submit the manuscript, and tomorrow morning they'll send you the proofreading, and just for namesake. And day after tomorrow, your paper will be on screen, and it will be available on their own website. But when you go and check whatever the information that they have claimed, they'll be out of the scheme. And like I already mentioned, so what the effort have become completely meaningless. So if it we all need to know that, not that all the open access charges some money for publication. So it depends on the type of the journal, and also who is the publisher. So I'll tell, some of the journals, though it is an open access journal, but it will be maintained by some society. May say example, American Heart Association, or I'm just giving you a random example of the societies, the Indian Pediatric Associations. So whatever the cost that is occurring for the peer reviewing process and publication of the manuscript, designing, proof, setting up print page, all those expenses, the open access charge, is being charged by the journals. So those charges will be handled by, or will be taken care by, those companies itself or the association itself. Only some of the journals, like they have the option of pure open access, wherein you have to pay the money. As per the data that is available from this directory of open access journal, like there are about around 20,000 journals, open access journals are available around, which is published from more than 100, around 135 countries and 80 different languages. If you see, interestingly, out of this 90,000 odd, 13,000 article or open access journal without APC, article processing charge. So what we have to do, we have to target these journals, read their terms and conditions, and if your manuscript falls within this scope of the journal, and you have chances of publishing a open access publication without making any amount, you see, now the frontier groups, I can tell, the frontiers group, I'm not endorsing any of the journals. See, I'll be even in future slides, I'll be telling some of the journal names or publisher names. So it's not that endorsing, I'm just giving you the example. For the people of healthcare professionals, the frontier journals, generally they go for this particular approach. If you see, mostly it is the publication cost, the APC cost is taken care by the companies itself. Like we have a frontiers of nursing, for nursing professionals, there is a journal which is called as Frontiers of Nursing, which is published from China. It is an open access journal, but they don't cost any money to the authors. Like there are several journals are available based on the field. We have to use this particular database and identify the journal's target journal, carefully reading the terms and conditions. Read every journals will describe their open access publication charge, like how much they charge, when it has to be paid. Mostly, the open access publication to be paid before the final manuscript, published, provided if it is a hybrid journal. Hybrid journal. They will ask. I'll show some of the elsewhere a screenshot I've taken and kept it. I'll show towards the end. So we as an author we can decide it. So that is in the hybrid journal where we go for open access publication. But whereas in pure open access journals, like we have to prepare our mind. Okay, so this is the expectations of the journal. We have to pay the money and proceed with publications by paying a money. So one important message I would like to give it as a take-home message from this particular slide is that not all open access journals demands money for its publication. So we have to choose the journal by reading its terms and conditions. So we have been seeing about what is open access and the types of the routes of open access and the database for navigating the open access journal. Now we'll see about subscription based journals. So the name subscription itself, we can understand that we publish the content, but to download the article, to use the article, we pay money and take it. In both the cases, the money is charged. But with open access, at the time of publication itself, they take in bulk. And in the subscription based, like your manuscript will be published, it is available on platform, but we may have to pay and take it. Like whenever you go to just Google or any databases, bibliographic databases like Scopus, even then your university have subscribed your database, the Scopus database, but still the journal will ask. So this is the second way of paying the money, because all this money is meant for publication expenses met by the publishers. Again, some will see it in a different angle, and why such a huge amount of cost is being imposed by author. It's the amount what they describe in most of the international journals, it is out of our hands. They charge it in lakhs, 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs, and depends on the impact factor, merit factor. Even it goes beyond that. But how, and I as author, I'm not affordable to pay. So having all this, now some of the country, they are I'm not very sure whether they've already taken it policy making, where all these open access journals will be charges will be taken care by the government itself. So that, because see, this is all done for the healthcare services or improvement in the academia. So let the government bear the cost, so that like you and me authors will not have major difficulty, or even for the institutions, and will not have a difficulty for paying such a huge amount of money for a single publication. So this is the method. Subscription based journal is the method we traditionally follow, and the other way, like traditional based approach in academic publishing industry, whether by the individuals or institutions have to pay some money to download the article. And so copyrights will be usually retained by the journal itself, and as it is not a gold open access article. And so like then provided, suppose you have a group subscription, like your university have subscribed some of the databases, like for example, Scopus. So when during the subscription to the Scopus will itself give some of the access, like wherein there are about 40,000 to 45 to 48,000 healthcare records. I mean, generally the Scopus index journals are available, in which they give some 6,000 to 7,000 journals, which is freely available to the institution, provided they have subscribed the Scopus database. So in this base also we can download the article, wherein in this kind of situation, if our university are given access, and we no need to pay money for downloading the article. So what is the difference between we have seen this open access and the subscription access. Now what is the difference? So in short, there is no any difference apart from the business model. Business model means it's money that is charged as a article processing charge, APC. So open access journals, subjects to the same peer review, production, publications, and all the standards, that is done by the traditional journals. The same work they carry out, and like whereas the subscription based journal, they will take the money later in the subscription mode, whereas the open access will collect it at the time of publication itself. On other hand, the open access journals will give creative common license. Like most of the open access, you will see it in the red color in the corner of the mark. That's a symbol that where which is giving a license for the authors to reproduce, share, and build upon further for research work. And however, the condition of gold open access and the green open access to be considered, even having creative common licenses, right? So that is one difference. And the other major difference, I've already told you: publication cost I've been telling, article processing charge. So it is the standard ready-made fancy word most of the open access will use in their author guidelines. Publishing is not without cost. So article publication, the expenses occurring to the publication, article production, to be paid by the authors or the institutions. Authors are the institutions. So provided there is a funding, well and fine, we can from the fund like we can show us the publication cost, and then we can use it for the publication. And if not, then like I don't think we as academician, I'm not a marketing personnel, I'm not doing a drug related unless until I involve in drug related trial. I don't want why I should pay such a huge amount for producing a single clinical piece of work that I've done, so which is not necessarily for me. So that is a real concern. And some of the universities, they take a policies, like the policies like because they wanted to have good number in the ranking, NIRF Times ranking, QS ranking, and SDG ranking. And they give the option of giving to the authors, so whatever the publication that you make in high quality journal, provided if it is indexed in Q1 ranking as per the Scopus metrics, I will take care of the publication, charge. So likewise, also the universities are giving option to the authors. So I'll have some more information on this. I'll discuss in the best practices of for universities to adapt to promote open access publication in the institution. Towards the end, I'll be speaking on that. So article processing charge. One might wonder why they are asking for such a huge amount. They see for the editorial work, for the technical infrastructure, and the production of the articles, production team, and marketing of the journal content, maintaining their web page, and then customer service. For all this, they need money. So that is the reason they, charge such a huge amount as open access from the authors. For the countries like, European and US, for them that for when as long as it is not converted into Indian rupee, the money seems to be okay. But for I being an Indian author, and uh, 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs, why I have to, like, it's impossible. I'm not able to bear the cost. So that is that is an important concern. So if you ask me, I'm going to touch upon the challenge. One of the important challenge in publishing with open access is the APC charge, right? So that is, and the one more information I would like to, article processing charge, like some of the journals, where although it is not a subscription based, and it is not a free access journal. I'll come up on later. And a free access journal, there is one more category of free access journal I'll touch little later, where the sponsoring party or the society will take care of its publication charge. Say example, there is one journal, like very recently the journal has come, like I have published 3 4 manuscript in that. The journal is uh, International Journal of Nursing Sciences, which is published by Chinese Nursing Association, and where their open access charges 1000 USD. Earlier, the Chinese Nursing Association have paid for each of the publication which is done by the author. But in due course of time, they revised, they made the guidelines that, from, so and so date, effective from so and so date, the publication expenses will not be taken care by the Chinese Nursing Association. The individual author or institution have to take the responsibility of paying the open access. So likewise, we have to, that's why always reading the author guidelines is very, very important for us to decide which journal I'm going to choose. And I have one very bad experience also. It's one of the reputed journal that is also now in Q2 ranking, Q2 category, and it is an international journal. I don't want to mention the journal as it is a public forum, published by a standard and reputed publisher. And when I see, sometimes ironically, the peer reviewed time that is taken by the editorial board or the journal is quite longer time. And I like I have experience of having publication done in a Q1 journal within a span of 3 months. 3 months, where I produced recently, very recently, I published one article in complementary therapies in clinical practice, which is the Q1 journal, which is having the impact factor of 3.6. And so where the entire duration for the publication is only 3 months. I also had the experience, I don't want to mention the journal, where the peer review process took about 1 year and 4 months. 1 year and 4 months. And by the paper it came out, it took almost 2 years. Right? So why I'm telling this time period, now I'll tell the one very bad experience I had with one of the journal. So at the time of submission of my manuscript, there was no any open article, open access publication demanded by the journal in their author guidelines. But that particular publication also took almost 1 year for the peer review time. By the time after the peer review, when my article got accepted, and they started charging 1,000 200 US dollars, then I was getting a mail one day asking for me to pay 1,200 US dollar. Then immediately I rushed, because I'm very careful. I don't submit the journal. I very carefully analyze the journal author guidelines, And if it is not, if it is purely a open access where author institution have pay, and I will not select that. And surprisingly, because the peer review period was 1 year, in between they have revised the guidelines. When my article got accepted, the author guidelines is updated, asking for 1,200 rupees. Then however, luckily I had my old author guidelines that was, which I downloaded while preparing the manuscript. I had it as a backup with me. I wrote a mail to them, and very easily I was not able to convince them. And almost it took, 3 or 4 months, like mail after mail. Then, even I went and discussed with my university officials, my previous university, not here, and like what would be the concern, like this I'm facing a problem. Then they said, no worry, if you have a proper record, that nothing to worry. Then I came to a point that, I said, see, I don't want to publish this manuscript by paying 1 lakh rupee, and I don't want such publication for me at the cost of paying 1 lakh, and I'm not affordable of paying. You retract the article. I don't mind. You remove my article from your article itself. And like that, and all conversation happened. And at one point of time, they become tired. I was also very firm that I'm not going to pay any money at all. And finally, they wrote a mail that, as after your request, our journal editorial team, the publishing company, have come to a conclusion to waive off the article processing fee. So these are all the challenges. So all these are also challenges, when we publish a single manuscript. So now, talk about free access. So what is free access? Here, no charge for the article publication, right? And no charge for downloading the article also. That is why it is called as free access. And the journal do not cost any money. If you can see the journals like, Wiley, Wiley publish. They will clearly mention it is a open access OA, and free access. They will mention the free access. There is no charge for the processing of the manuscript. There is no charge for publication of the manuscript. There is no any APC charge, and there is no any subscription charge. And it is purely a free service which is maintained by the journal, having a memorandum of understanding with the publisher or the society, and where they will have the standard copyright transfer policy. All the copyright of the article will be retained with them. So this is also one type of journals are available. It is something, not very often. We can see some of very few journals. Most of these journals, are done by the kind of marketing agencies, or kind of advertising sort, or they wanted to, endorse their newer guidelines and have wider dissemination. So those kind of association will have this kind of free access journal. So if your content is, you know fitting into this free access particular journal, you can very well go and select and publish your article. There is no any APC charges will be charged for the author. So having, the background of all this, what are all the advantage of open access publication? Better visibility. The impact of research is very good. Now the research, the evidence says that the citation of open access journal is markedly high, 60 to 70% higher when compared to the subscription based model, because as it is having a wider visibility, wide share, and it will reach the more number of people, and also thereby it creates the better impact of the research work, and it will make an impact beyond the institution. You'll have a better visibility on the international arena, wide publication engagement, increased metrics, increased citation and usage by the authors. And sometimes as LD, the funder mandates, somebody is funding you for your research work. Maybe it is a novel concept where they'll retain the copyrights and things like that. The benefits of the could be a product related research or any the instrument that might be sold after that. So that kind of advantages also is available having an open access publication. So these are all the other advantages. Just I have presented a pictorial format, and and information supply and free access, faster communication, and long-term access, and collaborating, high visibility, good network, efficient research. So that I wanted to do a research on the same topic, and if I have open access material and which is conveying meaningful information, I can directly use it. Because I should not you miss that important information, because I pay money in huge in dollar. So my research work also is getting affected because of having this particular open access model. So these are all the wider advantages of having an open access publication. Now, what are all the challenges of open access publication? The research quality open access journals is, I told you in the beginning, now everybody is editor in chief. Everybody, because journals are like, blooming like a mushroom, like a cloned journal. I hope you all knowing about the clone journal. Clonal, they have same, name and the same fake, everything is fake, right? They'll have the same ISSN number, and for example, yoga and art. Let me claim yoga and art. This is the journal name. This journal would have been published by the elsewhere, and the standard Web of Science, and other standard publisher. And there may be one fake group. They will also create the same name, dicto yoga and heart, or yoga and health. They use the same everything copy from the original website, and they charge money. And there are many, interestingly to watch, there are many people being victim of it, like especially the novice researchers, and people do not have the options of having guidance, good guidance that they receive from their mentors or the faculties. So that is important challenge of this open access publication, where it encourages the exploitation by the predatory publishers. And again, I already mentioned about the article process charge. It's high in number. It's not possible for us. And even identifying a good open access journal, because of I cloned journal, predatory journals, and where the authors go and land in some fake journals where their article do not have any merit after it is getting published. They may be having good, very good information that they have uh, uh, you know conducted or experimented. They wanted many, it can give meaningful evidence to the clinical practice. Another important challenge is that not every field, every people will get the funding for research work. And if at all, if you get funding, we again it depends on the funding agency. Do they give the option of using the funding money for the publication? So all those few of the some of the important, but practical nature, I would say article processing charge and exploitation by the predatory journals is the common challenges that the people generally experience in the the present scenario. Who supports open access? There are people who supports open access also. Say example, policy makers, committed scholars and scientists, professional societies, funders for the continued research activities. That is why I said the countries should have a common module wherein the cost, whatever that is occurring for open access, should be taken care by the government itself. For example, now PubMed Central. PubMed, they have PubMed and also PubMed Central. PubMed Central, which is taken care by the NIH, National Institute of Health, whatever, like PubMed Central, PMC, they call it as PMC. In that particular, whatever the journal that is indexed, all are full text article. The expenses completely taken care by the US government in the through NIH. Likewise, there must be a policy throughout the globe, and the countries should take a united decisions, and let us have a funding, the annual budget of the country to go to pay certain amount of money for the open access, so that all this the open access publication charge, the problem can be evaded, and where there can be a better progress in the research. So this is very important, avoiding predatory journals. Like maybe this next two slides may be useful for the people, those who are attending the first time for any kind of capacity building program for research publications, or to know about quality research publications. There is reason there is massive number in the increase of predatory journals, and that's why that having the advantage of the sophisticated technological environment that we are now living, so we need to think and check and submit carefully, avoiding the predatory journals. Never be the victim of the predatory journals. I mentioned DOAJ, Directorate of Open Access Journal. Actually, their brainchild is only the concept of think, check, and submit, right? So they have a separate website, and they have given numerous guidelines, and which is self-understandable. I'm not going to, spend much time on this slide, as already we are nearing the closing time. So having, am I submitting my manuscript to a trusted journal, and whether it's relevant to my field, whether it's a fake journal, whether my peer have published or not, and whether check the profile of the editorial board members, and editorial board members looking at the journal logo, the website quality. All these are some of the evaluation rubrics that one can have in mind for for submitting the target journal carefully. So there are, again, the journals have given some of the tools for identifying the right journal or the target journal. And for example, Elsewhere has given Elsewhere Journal Finder tool, wherein we can go to the website, and okay, I'll tell Elsewhere Journal Finder tool in my next slide. So these are all the journal finder tools given by various publishers like Elsewhere, Springer, Taylor and Francis, Web of Science, and the Wiley, and so what we can do, we can go just simply go to the Google. Google gives everything answer to the every question that we have, but not always right answer we receive. But we carefully we need to analyze and take only the right thing for us, what is required for us. Type Elsewhere Journal Finder tool. Just go to the you already would have prepared the manuscript. Where the abstract of the manuscript you need to have. Just copy and paste the title here, the main body of the content in the abstract column, and a few keywords you can give, and you can also select the field of search and give a search button. It will populate the list of journals, the genuine journals which are not in predatory nature, and where you don't waste your the research work. And I am in the safe hands of the publishers, and my manuscript will always remain in the Scopus database. Then I will get, there is a minimum guarantee. I don't waste my research work. Very important. First step I advise. First step, choose your target journal carefully, read the author guidelines, then prepare the manuscript. Likewise, this is the platform for Web of Science journal finder tool. So where you can use those useful tools that are available for having the right journal for your article publication. So now, out of my experience, like what are all the some of the best practices that are adapted by the universities for promoting their open access publication? So where they call it as university and publishers partnership model, university and publishers partnership model, which means there is a clear understanding between the publishers and the university, where university will pay a bulk amount of money subscribing a particular publishers for a certain number of years of duration. Wherein when the author is trying to publish, like once your article is getting accepted, having your university partnership model, your open access fee will be completely waived off. Again, there are some of the terms and conditions. Sometimes university will pay 50%, 50% will be paid by the authors. So all those will be done by case to by case. With the publishers, they'll make a understanding. So one of the important addition now, which we our university have subscribed currently following, is that I hope some of the participants maybe would have subscribed this particular program in your university and your institution also, where it is called as BMJ Research to Publications. So it is a model where it is the university have to BMJ publications all are open access publications, like where they charge about 300 to 400 pounds for the case report, because as they have exclusively PMJ case report, and also they have research article publications, they have wherein they charge about 2000 pounds for publications. If our university have subscribed this particular your librarian is the right person to contact to navigate these resources, wherein the subscription to be paid by the university for certain years of duration. What is expected is there are some module, like there are some publication best practices module, wherein they have 52 modules. They have arranged it in 5 different course titles. So authors, as a faculty, what we have to do is we have to go and complete any 5 modules from this, and we can download the certificates. And having the completed module certificate with us, we have to submit the manuscript to the journal. And upon peer review, if the article is accepted by the journal, the article fee, the processing fee, APC charges completely waived off. It is applicable for the case report and also for the original research publication. So that is about BMG research to publication. Again, I reiterate, I'm not endorsing any of the publishing agencies here. I just give some of the options that are available and which is commonly followed by some of the universities for promoting their open access publications in their university. So in addition to BMJ subscription, they also give one of the useful tool which is called as BMJ Best Practices, where it gives the latest treatment guidelines, and is something like clinical key, how the elsewhere is presenting, or up to date how the worlders and bluers are presenting. The same way, it is a useful tool which can be used for research, teaching, and learning purposes. So these are all the other publishing agencies where they try to make university publishers understanding relationship model, like Taylor and Francis. The university have to make an MOE with them, or signing an agreement with them, where like whatever the article that is published in Taylor and Francis, again it's one of the famous group where they publishes open access article, and university will pay for it behalf of author. And likewise Springer and Springer Nature, so they also give such options. And there is now one very, now it has become very common, like F1000 research open for science, very faster publications. But again, and I'm not sure about, I have not done any publication in this. Whatever I heard about, the how the process that is working on is like the 50% of the publication fee will be paid by the artist, 50% will be paid by the institutions. So very faster publications, very something there. Here, the one important thing is notice that within 1 week they are completing the peer review, and within 14 days the paper is out, and all these are Scopus indexed journal. So these are like the based on the requirements of the uh, uh, you know uh, based on the need, how faster you wanted to have the publication requirement for you, and one might have to take a decision. So uh, to conclude, having an open access publication, of course it is a challenging process, as there is one important major challenge that remains is the article processing fee. Other one is having lot of predatory journals that are available. I'm not able to select. I'm not having that clear understanding how to select a right journal, and for that only I told to use the publication journal finder tool, and wherein all this the fake journals can never get into those kind of evaluation system, so that we don't select a wrong journal. And timing of the publications, and also what is the content material that you wanted to publish in the journal. So all these are some of the important factors that we as a author need to consider for publishing journal in the open access. And according considering all this, we may have to decide whether you are going to have open access publication or subscription based in the traditional method. So that is all I have to say from this session. I hope I've justified the topic,